Hi, welcome to It's Not Easy Being Green. I'm Shawn Henning. On each episode of It's Not Easy Being Green, we explore different environmental topics with our guests, and we invite you to email your thoughts and comments on the issues we discuss to green@wuwf.org. Today our topic is ecopsychology, and our guest is Dr. Michael DeMaria, a clinical psychologist, ecopsychologist, author, consultant, teacher, and musician. He's written 2 books, numerous articles, and recently released his first CD, The River. Dr. DeMaria has also given national and international presentations on the role nature, creativity, and spirituality play in the healing process. Now, you may remember Michael from an earlier show. There are so many aspects within ecopsychology to discuss, and during his last visit, we ran out of time before we ran out of talking, and we never even got to his music. So today we're going to do something a bit different. We asked Michael to bring his instruments and to share his music with us to help us learn how it relates to the rhythm of life. So Michael, before you start playing for us, take just a second to refresh our memories about what ecopsychology is and then how that relates to the music of life.
I'd love to, Shawn. It's good to be back.
Thank you for coming.
Ecopsychology, basically, if we break it down, just like ecology, ecos comes from the word household or home. And the idea of ecopsychology is the insight and the awareness that our psychological health is completely interrelated with all other relationships upon the planet, not just interpersonal between humans, but with nature, the watersheds, the whole realm of our household here. So that means you can't treat the person in isolation, which a lot of traditional psychology has. It's really being aware that there is a tremendous infinite web of interrelationships that have to be understood, respected, and honored when you look at the individual human being. I hope that made some sense.
So what I hear you saying is that when people come to you, you're not just asking them about their childhood, you're basically asking them about all the different aspects of their life so that you can figure out how they fit together and how you might help them work together more smoothly.
Exactly. It's a very holistic approach. You're as interested in what they eat and their nutrition as are they getting enough fresh air, are they spending time in nature. It's really looking at their web of interrelationships and not thinking of that they're just one separate individual skin-encapsulated ego.
Okay, now that's great. Now let's take that and tell us how that relates to the music.
Okay. Well, as you know, I've been fascinated, obsessed with sound and music since I was very young.
Yes, tell us about your first jazz concert experience.
Well, as you know from reading about it in the book, that the first jazz concert I remember going to, I was about 9 years old. Up until that time, I was still interested in music. I thought my parents thought I might be autistic, actually, when I was young, because I didn't talk till I was about 2.5, 3. But whenever I went by the piano, I couldn't help but just push, and I called it pushing, the keys. And sometimes I just hit one note, and then go back and hit the same note over and over again. I loved the sound that it made and how it kind of filled the whole room, which has to do with the relationship between music and ecopsychology. But I was about 9, and it was at the local high school, and we were going to see a high school jazz combo. There was 3 or 4 instruments, but what I remember, center stage, when the lights came up, was this incredible jazz percussionist, this drummer on this trap set, right center stage, and started off with this amazing drum solo, and he just went wild. You know, I mean, arms flailing and flying everywhere in this amazing syncopated rhythm, and I just, my heart jumped. You know, it was just felt like I was going to jump out of my skin. And that night I went home and announced that I was going to be a drummer. That's what I was going to do with my life.
Now you are, in addition to everything else, and you have brought your drum, and I was hoping we could get you to play it for us.
Oh, I'd love to.
Maybe tell us a little bit about it before you play.
Well, the idea about music and ecopsychology, one of the things I love about music, and the other theme I talk a lot about, is the water of life and the music of life. And both remind us of the interconnectedness of all things. If you think about water and about music, they will fill whatever space you give them. They occupy the whole room or the whole space, like just right now.
They have no shape of their own.
No shape of their own.
Yes.
So they flow. And that's a really critical theme throughout all this, is the flowing nature. If you think about water, it moves in waves, and music also moves in waves. And sound, it's very interesting. Listening is the one sense that we have before we're born above all others.
Absolutely.
You know, people will talk to the child or sing to their child before they're even born. And again, this idea of the household, the place from which we come, the idea that we hear before we do anything else, even before we breathe, reminds us that listening is perhaps one of the most important faculties to have. Many people feel that also, well, there's been studies of this, that listening is the last sense we lose. If you're with somebody who's
I've heard that.
about to die, they'll lose smell, they'll lose taste, they'll lose seeing and sight, they'll lose touch. But the hearing is the last thing. And some people feel they never lose it. They keep listening on the other side of things.
Well, I think we're ready to listen, so why don't you play for us?
So, basically, the nice thing about drum, we know that drums go back probably 40, 50,000, maybe 100,000 years old into human history as far as the first instrument that all of our ancestors played. And when people tell me they don't have rhythm, I always say, well, just put your hand over your heart and you hear that. And the beautiful thing about drumming and about the idea of the heartbeat is it connects us, you mentioned, the rhythm of life. And the idea we live in such a fast-paced world that if we don't find the natural rhythm, there's a great book that came out recently called Slowing Down to the Speed of Life. And the speed of life is about this initial sound, which is the heartbeat. So I'm just going to play a little bit, and we'll see where it takes us.
All right. Perfect. Let's take a quick break, and we're going to take a quick break. Coming up, we'll hear more of Michael DeMaria's music, so stay with us. We'll be right back.